just every day living and seeing the people around you, and it's actually kind of difficult seeing those people. It's like, oh, I want to make ties with them, I want to make friendships with them, because when you're younger, it's like, oh, you grab what you can when you're out there, and it's hard because you want to see what yourself in the future, you see yourself, but then there's also a party that's like, oh, but for now I'll just do that, and that's not necessarily right, because that can really drag you down as a person.
Yeah.
So choosing your people around you is very important. And for me, it was my neighborhood kids, basically, just whether they had bad habits, and I had to put myself away from that, and it was very stressful at first because you don't know how to do it. Some of them you grow up when you're young and it's hard to do, but eventually you have to do it for yourself, and that's something about maturity. As you grow up as a person, you have to grow up and realize what's good for you and what's not, and that's how you build up yourself.
How's it going, guys? Welcome to the Way They Don't Want You to Know podcast. My name is Eli.
And I'm Nathan.
What's up? I'm Quincy.
And today we're going to be talking about awareness. This will be like a more, like, how would you describe it? Like not like a self-help necessarily, but we're just going to be stepping away from the topics that we've been talking about these last couple of weeks that have been more serious and controversial and have to do with, like, the political landscape in America. And this is more about, like, things that you can apply to your life that we've applied to our life. And, this podcast isn't just about conspiracy theories or the government being full of shit or, the news. It's also about spirituality. It's also about knowledge that's been kept from you that, could really help you propel yourself forward. And Quincy is a friend of mine who, how do I explain this? He's pretty dedicated to his own spiritual path and expanding his own awareness, so I just thought it was going to be perfect. So basically, I'm just going to have him introduce himself, tell us a little bit about himself, and then I'm just going to ask some questions, and yeah, we'll go from there.
So what's up? I'm Quincy, 19 years old. I try to help out around the community whenever I can. I do some poetry on the side, and I'm a very spiritual person. I try to dedicate myself to grow every day, wherever I can. Whoever's around me, I try to make better, and it's just like that, and that's how it is.
100%, yeah. And so, yeah, you talk about trying to get better every day.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we were talking about this earlier, just about awareness and maybe about how people influence you. Is that something you've been conscious of lately?
Lately, of course, yeah, especially with all these problems going on with the community, how we're trying to come together as one. Yes, it definitely comes together, and it ties all together with influence and how I'm building up my character and how I can build up other characters.
Yeah.
As well.
So do you think often about the kind of people that you have around you, or
yes,
do they
often.
not?
Yes, I do. It does matter who you have around you, like every day, every time, every second, because those people can say that one thing to you, and then it changes and it clicks just like that to you. So yes, that's very important for anybody out there to know who your environment is around you, because that's very important of how you grow in the system, how you grow in your community, how you grow as a person. So yes, that is very important.
100%. I think about the same thing too. Like we were just talking about this. I'm really proud of some of the friends that I have around me right now, and we were talking about this. We just left the boxing gym. Me and him and like a couple other guys, and I was just saying, like, it feels really good to be around dudes that like want to be like respectable men and want to like make themselves better and actually are willing to like put in the work to, you know what I'm saying, like be better every day. Like that just motivates me because it lets me know like, okay, this is like a path that can be pursued, and it doesn't have to be lonely, but it does take a lot of outgrowing people. You know what I mean? Have you had to deal with that at all in your life?
Yeah, I actually have. Whether it's neighborhood kids, just every day living and seeing the people around you, and it's actually kind of difficult seeing those people. It's like, oh, I want to make ties with them, I want to make friendships with them, because when you're younger, it's like, oh, you grab what you can when you're out there, and it's hard because you want to see what yourself in the future, you see yourself, but then there's also a party that's like, oh, but for now I'll just do that, and that's not necessarily right, because that can really drag you down as a person.
Yeah.
So choosing your people around you is very important, and for me, it was my neighborhood kids, basically, just whether they had bad habits, and I had to put myself away from that, and it was very stressful at first because you don't know how to do it. Some of them you grow up when you're young, and it's hard to do. But eventually you have to do it for yourself, and that's something about maturity. As you grow up as a person, you have to grow up and realize what's good for you and what's not, and that's how you build up yourself.
Yeah, because people will limit. I'm about to ask you a question, if that's okay, about your childhood, but people will really limit your scope of what you think somebody can achieve. Like, when you look around you and you see all these people, and they're only operating at a certain frequency on a consistent basis, they have certain habits. You watch them self-sabotage. You watch them sell themselves short. You you watch them, do the bare minimum in life. You don't have any example except for that what you see, which is very far away. Mm-hmm. Even if you see, people all the time are just like, and I did this too, but it's like, even if you're fucking watching somebody on YouTube or watching a movie and you're being inspired by these people, you can't ask them questions. Mm-hmm. You're not watching the nuances in their everyday life. You're not watching, how do they wake up? How do they get out of bed? How do they talk to the people around the city? How do they, mm-hmm. There's fucking 100 different things that you got to analyze to be able to implement in your own life. And if all you're around is people that are limiting that, you know what I mean? It's really hard to get out of there. Mm-hmm. It really is. Yeah. How was it like growing up for you? Were you around a lot of people growing up or just your family?
Well, I did have friends, but it's like he said, whatever you see. Well, we talked about this the last episode. Whatever you see around you is what you like. It goes into your mind. You know. And, I grew up in the hood, so it's like it was definitely not. It was like we talked last time. It was a place of scarcity. Yeah. But I feel like even till this day, I gotta be very aware, mm-hmm. very conscious of like me switching from, I can't. I don't have this like. There's no opportunity to like being like, yes, I can do it, no matter what circumstances. So yeah, I think it's very, very that how he was saying earlier. I forgot who it is that said this, but it's like you're the outcome of like your 5 like closest friends mm-hmm. or whatever. So it's very important, to have like to change. Sometimes you can't just stay with the same people, regardless of how much you care for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same with toxic relationships. It's the same with, like, even your parents can be super toxic to you. Like, one thing that is different from me is I started out growing up really poor. Mm-hmm. My mom was really poor, but when she met we were living in a trailer, like right by Iguanawana. Mm-hmm. There's a trailer park, and we used to live there. And then she met my stepdad, and then, things just started climbing up, and then I got the opportunity to watch people basically make something from nothing. Yeah. Which instilled that in me because when I moved out when I was 17 and I was living in a fucked up neighborhood. I'm talking about people smoking meth on their front porch, you know what I mean? People selling dope in the neighborhood. Like the majority of the houses closed down. Like real shit. The dude that lived in I shouldn't even say this on there. We're gonna save that. But anyways, like it's some crazy shit, you know what I mean? That I had and all the other places I was living with my homies too, like I mean, it was really poor. Like, we didn't have shit, but that I always had it in my head that I was going to work out of that. Mm-hmm. I always felt like that's what separated me from those people is because I knew that I could have more because I've watched it happen already.
So that was, like, your, like waking moment to that, like, new perspective. Like, what was it for you? Like, realizing, like, okay, I'm not limited to the, like, scarcity or this.
Space for yourself. I think space for yourself is very important. And the more space I created for myself, the more thoughts I had, like, to write down, the more thoughts I had to get out in the open, to even share out to my family, to say anything about that. When you create more space for yourself, it really opens up new boundaries that you didn't see before. And I think that's very important. And, yeah.
What kind of even gave you the idea to start taking space for yourself? Were you overwhelmed by everybody else's opinions, or?
Not so much overwhelmed feeling, more of curiosity. Yeah. I think curiosity is a big thing for me. I'm curious in every new thing. So it's like, I wonder what that's going to be like today. You wake up a new day, and it's just like, wow. I wonder, and I liked it. I liked it for the first time. I don't obviously remember what the first day was like when I took space for myself, but I could tell like that next day when I woke up like, and I kept reaching further. I kept grasping further at that. And then there's just a certain point to where I am now where I just love it. And
yeah. I think what you're talking about, it kind of relates to awareness. In awareness, they talk about observing, being an observant. So I think that's where it comes, like when you say space for yourself, it's like actually like taking time to observe like your surroundings and what's going on. Correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with your thoughts, with anything. It can be any areas it can be. Yeah.
Because we were talking about this. We've been hanging out for the last couple of days, and I was saying like sometimes you get so lost in another person that you even start to forget who you are or what you even think about or what you even talk about because you're just so caught up in what they're talking about every day or what they're focused on every day, and what the relationship dynamic is between you two, and you might even forget who you were before that person, Like that's kind of where I was just at in one of my last relationships. It's like it seemed like they were telling me over and over again what I thought and what I felt and like what I should be feeling. You know what I mean? Like like they were already trying to decide that for me, and it's like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, I just, like,
you.
snapped and was like, wait, what the fuck? Like, I don't think that at all. And, like, I don't have to. And I'm not going to come to some point of compromise with you about what the fuck you think I think. You know what I mean? Like, I should have the space to, you know,
I felt that plenty of times, like, not only with, like, relationships, like I felt that with my, like, parents, you know, and I love them, obviously, you know, but we all have different perspectives. But even, like, in school or work, you feel that, you know, where you try to, like, control you and put you in this perspective where you're like, I don't fuck with that, you know, like.
And that has actually something to do about awareness too in your relationships. Once you have that, you can get sucked into time, and then awareness just is stagnant and it doesn't go anywhere, because then when you're with somebody, you're like, oh, this, you prioritize around them. And a person that is more mature and that can balance that, it's hard to do, because especially feelings can really have an effect on a human being. So awareness has a really big part of that. You really have to balance out and pick and choose who you're with, and pick and choose when's the right time to be around that person. So
yeah, I kind of want to describe to, like, whoever's not aware of what's awareness.
Sure,
you know,
ahead.
so
Go ahead.
I forgot who it is. I think it's Joe Dispenza. He talks about the fact that most of the time we're unconscious, so we run, like, based on programs. So, like, kind of how you learn to ride a bike.
Yep.
You know, every day, like, you learn how to drive your car. You know, you just learn it once and then you automatically do it. So he talks about how throughout the day, I think he said like 80 or 90%, I'm not sure, but most of the day we're unconscious. We're just going based off programs. So awareness would be to actually take the time in the present moment to be aware, to see your surroundings, and to be conscious of what's going on and what you're doing.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. You know, it was like, you know, I've been talking to a lot of people lately. Like, the only way that I'm able to do anything is off of momentary energy. Like, if I tried to sit here and think about what I was about to say next, I'd be super fucked. You know what I mean? And that puts me in a weird space, because you just gotta trust, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I'm not about to make this about, like, the universe or God or anything, but it's just like, you really do realize that having that present moment of awareness and then tapping into that momentary energy is what creates the space for you to even have that awareness, whether it's self-awareness, awareness of your surroundings, you know what I mean? And, like, based upon that is, you know, when you talk about programs and stuff, like, a lot of times you have to work yourself backwards.
Yeah.
You know, you have to even, like, work out of the programs from your childhood, things that you've reinforced, you know. And it seems like every day of my life is centered around that.
Yeah, Dr. Bruce
point?
Lipton, he talks about you have to get rid of the program and then reprogram yourself. It's really crazy how we are like computers, like basically. Like,
I fucking hate that. Like, I get it, but, like, I feel like that's super, like, I feel like it makes people feel like reducted, like, or a little bit, or
and
is that the
keeps them
word?
in a box and almost like that.
When they think of themselves as computers rather than, like, looking at it as, like, self-mastery, because I feel like that gives people a weird thing in their head where they feel like they gotta force themselves to operate this way, and they gotta blah 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 blah, when it's really just like a daily practice of discipline.
True.
Like, it's like a daily grind, you know, like every day. Like today, you know, I fucking made y'all sit on that bag for 2 minutes straight. You didn't think you could fucking do it, and you fucking had to, you know what I mean? Because I didn't give you a choice. And now, next time you go in there, you know you can do it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And next time you do a little bit more and a little bit more. And I mean, that's such a random ass example, but really, that's what I find.
But that's
like,
true, because that's what they talk about. Those for those of you who are interested, is Joe Dispenza and Dr. Bruce Lipton. I think that's his name. They talk about the way you reprogram yourself is doing things repeatedly. So, like you just said, like in the gym, you go, you learn, you gotta do whatever, like a jab or whatever, like repeatedly until you get it, you know, like in your subconscious mind. So yeah, that's exactly how you reprogram.
And I think being interested in every moment, whether it's at the gym and you're like, I'm going to take this opportunity, I'm going to go with it. I'm going to take this opportunity and I'm going to go in the ring and I'm going to show them what I got. Whatever it is, whether it's your first day or whether it's a year in the gym, I think that has a very strong effect on it. So I feel like you have to really carry that with you and indulge in the moment. And actually, with everything, whether you're outside in the grass and you're looking at the sky, indulge in the moment. Don't just be there. Actually indulge it, because then awareness can grow.
Are you guys
like
good with that? Because I feel like for me, it was something I struggled with, like being present, like not thinking of the past or the future. But are you guys like able to like not?
I don't know how to do anything else at this point.
No?
I literally, right now, my brain is like crystal clear. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm right here. It's the only way it works for me, bro. I really don't. I feel like I'm meditating all day long.
Just present.
I can't.
Perfect.
I don't know how to do anything else. I don't know how to do anything else.
For those people for whoever that is watching, what advice would you give them to be present?
Well, first of all, it helps if you tap into your senses. And it helps if you stop trying to change whatever situation you're in. Like people are constantly critiquing, analyzing, projecting, whatever. Like if you could just shut the fuck up and really just shut the fuck up and really just step back, you know what I mean? And appreciate. And gratitude is like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the next thing to happen. Even if all this shit fell away tomorrow, the landlord came and he evicted us out of this place, all this hard work was for nothing. They told me I had to pack up my bags, and I fucking traveled around the country with my dog getting drunk and writing poetry every day. I would be so grateful that I even had the opportunity to still be alive. Like, I would be so grateful that I even had the opportunity to have done all this and that we got away with all this for so long. You know what I mean? Like, I think gratitude is really what grounds me in the present moment because I'm so excited to see what's going to happen next.
It's one of the highest frequencies, too.
And
So
it's
self-appreciation.
I want to cry all the time sometimes, I feel like. Like, it's literally just like, wow, like, we're really able to experience this right now. Like, this could literally be anything else. Now, I know that's not really the question you asked me, but what I would say is, obviously look into meditation, but don't think of meditation as something as you got to sit down and force yourself to stop thinking, because that's never going to happen.
That's not it, yeah.
And I mean, it will happen, but it's not going to happen right away. You don't stand a fucking chance against your mind right now, because you've let your mind just run around like crazy your whole life and not
control
check
you.
Yeah. Bro, I can't imagine what it's like to not have control over my thoughts anymore.
Yeah.
I'd fucking I shouldn't say that. But bro, it's just, when people tell me they overthink, I just can't even remember what that's like.
That's good, though. That's really good.
But
there's a lot of people who wish they had that.
I'm sure. I'm fucking sure. And I'm not saying that to flex. I'm just saying that to say that I work towards it every day since I was 17.
Exactly.
And now I'm in a spot where it's like, oh, wow, like I'm living real life. I'm engaged. I can capitalize on opportunities. I can really invest in relationships.
Yep.
I can really whoop, whoop, whoop. But if that's not your conscious thought every day, you know what I mean? It's so gradual. And the last thing I will say is to not identify or attach with any singular thought. Like, you cannot identify with the good or the bad. You can't identify with your self-deprecating thoughts. You can't identify with your ego-boosting thoughts. You can't identify with compliments. If you're somebody that looks for validation, you're going to fucking lose. We were talking about this last night. If you're always looking for the good job, you're going to play for the good job. And you're going to compromise in your morals for the good job. You know?
I agree
You
with
got to, you just got to find self-fulfillment. Real shit.
What about for you? What would be an advice you would give? Like,
to be in the present, to stay in the present moment for them. Same thing what Nate said, kind of validation, not having fear. When you look out into something and someone tells you something, you don't need to digest it and dissect every part. It's whether just take it in. And there's a difference between taking it in like that and also just being in the moment. Like I said, being in the grass or being wherever you are and being in the moment. But there's a difference between that. So I feel like once you stay in the present, and I feel like when you stay in the present, it's just like, I don't really know.
Yeah, it's when going back to like the meditation, like a lot of people think that meditation is like clear your mind, and it's not like that. Like I meditate, and it's like just letting those thoughts flow. Like you don't, like you just said, you don't attach to whatever you're thinking about. You just let it go, and eventually, I from my experience, when you actually get deep into it, you actually are able to get to that spot where it's like blank. Like it's nothing, and that's it's
crazy
great.
because somebody like me that's always fucking talking or always going 1,000 miles an hour, like I always got ideas, I can always go blah blah blah, like for my brain to be clear, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's so like.
That's what I was asking, because I was like, holy shit, like I know you're always thinking, you know, like, but if you're present,
but that's what people think. But I could shut it off at any time, you know. Sometimes I have to shut up. I can't make no painting. I can't have the conversation. I can't come up with nothing if I'm thinking.
Yeah.
You know what 18 minutes in, not bad.
Amazing.
We got I got like 7 more minutes.
That's fine.
I gotta get ready to go.
Yeah, you're free.
So let's wrap this up with talking about Quincy. So Quincy, let's tell us a little bit about growing up in your house and how that affected your spiritual journey, or finding yourself, or finding awareness, or however you want to answer that question. Just.
Yeah, that is a good question. Whether it's my living with, when I had 2 brothers, when I had my older brother in the house and I had my 2 parents, it was a little different, because when I had my older brother, he kind of showed me some things. He kind of showed me the ropes. But when he left, it was a whole different ballgame, because my brother is the complete opposite of me, and my parents view certain things a certain way because they are modern day people. They're old, and you have to give and take with them. You have to put yourself in their shoes all the time, or else it won't work. The relationship won't work. So it's kind of like that. So staying on your toes is important in that household. Being yourself is also important, because as soon as they can see that, you think your parents just can't see something inside of you, but it's actually true. Like, they can see everything you are. Like, they gave birth to you. You can't just think, oh, they don't know this about me. It's also thinking about putting yourself in their shoes and be like, okay, I can adjust to this and I can adjust to that. And then also saying for yourself and standing up for yourself and being completely aware of where you stand as an individual. And if they don't get that, it can be a little picky, and you have to pick some things out and take some things and just give and take, like I said. Yeah. But living in that type of household, I would say you have to be appreciative of what you have and be appreciative of what you got at all times, or else it's always going to crumble down. It's always going to feel like you're in a loop or something, and you really have to be aware of what they're saying to you, whether it's your mom saying something to you and it's your mom just speaking, giving you a lecture. Don't take it as a lecture. Take it as, oh, my mom is giving me advice, and my mom has been through so much stuff. And you half the stuff, I guarantee you, half the things that you know about your mom and dad are only 20% of the things that you actually know.
Yeah.
Most of their life, they've been through a lot. So you actually have to think about it and actually step back and be like, yeah.
Can I say something really quick? I think that also we really underestimate, like, okay, this is gonna sound super weird, and but this is my podcast, so fuck it. Well, our podcast, no fucking rules, fuck you. But like you have to really start looking at people as reflections of God too, like the universe too, like the universal source. I don't mean God like the Christian God. I mean like, you know, like like the Big Bang exploded, and then everybody's a different like reflect.
Yeah.
Like, so, you know, that would help me. Like, you know, I stepped back and I tried to look at like, when my parents I don't talk to my parents as much as you talk to your parents, but and I don't live with my fucking parents either, but it's like I wouldn't hold it so like identity, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't hold on so much to their identity as like what lesson is this trying to communicate to me right now? You know, what information is being channeled through these people right now, you know what I mean, that's bringing a lesson to me, or bringing an opportunity for me to expand my awareness, you know what I mean? And trying to look at people. I've been trying to do that more often, you know. I used to do it to my own detriment, and I'm about to ask you a question next if that's okay, but I used to look at people in their highest example. Like, that's my one talent, is I'm able to see people at their highest example, know exactly how it would play out and exactly how they could get there. You know, like, it's just weird. It's weird as fuck. The problem is I got attached to that, and then I started holding expectations for these people, and if they didn't live up to that, it would cause me suffering. Once I let that go, and I just looked at people as, like, pure expressions of God, and that they were, you know, and I was able to identify their true essence from their ego, it helped me stop taking things so goddamn personally from these people, you know?
Yeah, I've experienced the same as what, like, there's another quote, it's everyone's you pushed out. So I think that's what you're talking about, and then I've actually recently experienced that, like you can have a conflict with someone, and you have that, like, your ego is like, holy fuck, like, I'm pissed at this person. But once you look at it as like, okay, forget about who they are, what lesson is this bringing, like, what's this situation really talking about, it's a whole different thing. Like, even if it's like a really bad situation, you can really take and learn from it. It's really crazy.
Yeah, and one thing you can, like, as soon as you get in a conflict with somebody, as soon as you have tension with somebody, look at it as a reflection as them. Like, see that it is a reflection and that that's what they're going to. And same thing for you too. If you're arguing with somebody and you see it, it's hard in the moment to say, oh, that was a reflection of me. Yeah. But even give yourself 20 minutes, give yourself 30 minutes after, be like, all right, and actually take it. It's okay to take it down. It's okay to take mental notes in your head. Yeah. Do something, though, to make sure you can do better for the next situation. I feel like a lot of people aren't aware of that, and that's another thing about awareness. They don't really carry their thoughts with them. They either throw it away or they keep it in their unconscious and then just leave it. And then the next time they go into another situation, it stays the same. Yeah. And then people expect change out of that, and I feel like that's pretty shitty out of that. Yeah.
There's a couple books. There's all the books by Joe Dispenza are really helpful with that. And then there's also, I forgot who wrote this book. I'm so bad with this, but it's called Letting Go. So it kind of like it relates to what you guys are talking about, how we attach to those emotions, and it's like, especially with traumatic things, like we attach and we carry that, and we continue like carrying that, like that pain, and it reflects on future situations. I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, can I say something really quick before we finish this out? I mean, this sucks that it's going at the end of the podcast because, like, if nobody fucking watches it, like, I'm going to be pissed. But, like, you know, one thing that I realized, I got Reiki done. And Reiki is basically, like, massage therapy for your chakras. Like, it's like, it's just, like, chakras are, like, different energy centers in your body. And Reiki masters are able to work with these energy centers and find out where there's blockages, imbalances, whatever. Whether you believe in it or not, fuck you, it's real. Yeah. So basically, I got Reiki from this really incredible woman named Raven. Shout out Raven. Everybody go give her your fucking money. And, you know, I am never looking for a spiritual experience. I'm always skeptical as fuck that people are full of shit. And not that I thought she was full of shit. I love her to death, but she just started. I didn't think anything crazy was going to happen. I thought it was just going to be some regular ass shit, right? She didn't speak a word to me the whole time. She put on music. I can't meditate with music. It drives me fucking crazy. It's so distracting. She put on this music. She put on this drumming music. She put some shit over my eyes like a blindfold. And she didn't even fucking touch me. She just went like this over my whole fucking body. She did what she needed to do. You know what I mean? What she knew she needed to do. The whole time, it was like a stream of consciousness playback, like no stoppage. Like just a playback from the time I was 12 years old till now. And only the good memories of my childhood. My childhood was fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, super fucked up. Like, I used to get the fucking dog shit beat out of me, man. I used to, you know what I mean? I was always getting in trouble. I was always getting locked in my room. I was always getting screamed at. Like, my childhood was fucked up, bro. Like, you think I'm happy now? Like, I was not expecting to be this kind of person, man. And I've always held on to that shit growing up. And I try not to use it as an excuse, but I noticed that sometimes I can't help it. And But by doing that and constantly identifying with the fucked up shit, I pushed all the great shit out of my mind completely. And 1 second, buddy. I'll text you in just a minute, okay?
No, but do I park on the alley or on the road?
Oh yeah, wherever the fuck you want. You can park in the alley. I'll be out there in a minute.
All right, you're good. I'm just.
Anyways, sorry. I only fucking identified with the negative shit from my childhood, which stopped me from identifying with any of the positive shit, which stopped me from realizing that through all that negative adversity, I was still happy as fuck.
Yeah.
And I still came out on the other side. Because I was always trying to identify with the negative shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you let it get so much power, it basically controls you, even if you're not aware of it.
People get addicted to the pain. The same like you get addicted to like fucking drugs or whatever, or good things, you get addicted to whatever. So that could be it.
Because you can constantly self-validate, bro. You can constantly be right. You can constantly be like, well, this didn't work out because blah, 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 blah. Or I'm this way because blah, blah, blah. Or my life was fucked up, so blah, blah, blah. And you just sit there and lick your fucking wounds all day. You know what I mean? And that's not helping anybody.
Yeah, and that's a big problem with actual society. Any race, whether it's race, I don't even want to get into like a big race thing, but like that's a thing. Like licking your own wounds and holding on to that can really be detrimental to where you want your progress to be headed, and where you want your things, where you want your society, where you want your community, where you want your people to stand up to, and where you expect them to stand up to. I feel like expectations can be lowered because you hold on to past history, and I don't
That
think
victim mentality.
Yeah, for sure.
You got to say anything? We can run this again, but I got to go.
No, that's fine. That's a good
Y'all good?
place to wrap
That was
it
a
up.
good conversation.
Yeah, man, that was a good one.
I'm glad we could.
If you
fucking
guys
fit
want
this in.
part 2 though, let us know, because that was dope.
Let us know, or we'll never do this again.
Ever.
And we'll take it all off the internet.
All
No,
right,
I'm
guys.
kidding. Peace.
See you guys in the
Peace and
next
love.
episode.
Be cool.